House of Egos. Part 1. The Vanishing Street. Edward Matthews had never liked walking home alone, but it was broad daylight, and the streets of Glendale were quiet, soaked in golden afternoon light. His earbuds played a mellow indie song, and he mentally recited the chemical formulas for his upcoming chemistry test. That was his pattern, routine comfort in a world that barely felt solid some days. A sharp sting bit the back of his neck. He staggered, hand slapping at it like it was a bee. But the sensation spread like fire, buzzing nerves, fading sound, dark edges curling into the light, then silence, then black. Part 2. No doors. Edward awoke on a wooden floor in a dim room. The air was damp, walls stretched up and out, curved oddly like the interior of a hollow sphere. There were no windows, no doors, only grey stone and wrapped wooden beams. A dim glow spilled from an unseen source above, tinged violet. He sat up, head pounding. Across from him stood four strangers. A girl with maroon braids and overalls. Her posture was tense. A woman in her 40s, pale faced, clutching a crumpled cardigan. A man with a long scare running along his temple, twitchy. A younger boy, maybe 14, eyes wide, knees drawn to his chest. None of them spoke. Then the girl broke the silence. You are new? Edward nodded, his throat dry. Where are we? The boy whispered, The house. The older man barked a laugh that wasn't funny. If you mean prison, yeah. The kind that thinks. Part 3. The first room. The walls shifted. Not physically, but perceptually. Edward blinked hard and noticed a jagged gap stretching horizontally across the far wall. Not a door, a passage, like a mouth waiting to swallow them. We have to go, said the girl. Her name, he learned soon after, was Sarah. The five approached the gap cautiously. Edward felt the floor grow colder beneath his feet. The younger boy, Cameron, shuddered. No one spoke of the absurdity. No food, no rest, no time, as if reality here worked differently. The passage led them into a room painted in mismatched colors, pale greens and blistered reds. At the center, a chessboard sat on the floor with enormous pieces, each carved from stone. The exit on the far end shimmered faintly, but it was blocked by a glass wall. A plaque read, Make the right move or lose your turn forever. The man who introduced himself as Greg scoffed. Just a game. Zara frowned. I don't think it is. Each person took a turn. Cameron moved a knight. The glass wall flickered. Greg moved a rook. Nothing. The woman, Eileen, stepped toward the queen and hesitated. Something shifted in the air. Then Edward moved his pawn diagonally. A low groan rumbled underfoot, and the glass melted like ice. Part 4. Trap Theory. They pushed onward past more impossible rooms. A chamber of mirrors where touching the wrong reflection caused the entire room to reset. A hallway that looped endlessly until Cameron screamed and threw a stone that fell upwards, revealing the true direction. A wall of hands, yes, actual hands, pressing out from behind soft wallpaper, whispering secrets. Eileen began to change. She talked to herself more, whispered about voices in the walls. Greg grew paranoid, accusing Edward of being planted there. Zara remained rational, observing traps, recording patterns with chalk she found in one room. She theorized the house was intelligent or part of an experiment. What if we're being watched? She asked. Edward didn't want to believe it, but every step forward felt engineered. Part 5. Cracks in the World. In a room with no gravity, they floated toward four floating platforms. On each was an item: a compass, a knife, a photo of Edward Street, a candle. Choosing wrong meant dropping into the void. Greg grabbed the knife. It disintegrated. Zara grabbed the compass. It spun wildly. Edward took the photo. They fell hard into another chamber, but this time there were sounds, humans. Footsteps beyond the walls. The residual. Zara hadn't slept in 3 days, not since the whisper. Edward's voice, faint, fragmented, had slipped through her speakers during a routine diagnostics check. She'd been combining through encrypted data left behind in the echo protocol's collapse, searching for anomalies. What she found instead was a pulse, a residual consciousness. She traced the signal to a derelict server from outside Lendale, buried beneath a forgotten research facility. The walls were scorched, terminals blinked erratically, and in the center of the room, a signal monitor displayed a symbol. Zara started at it. "You're still in there." The signal room. Inside the server farm, Zara discovered a hidden chamber lined with glass ports. Each held a person suspended in stasis. One of them was Cameron. She activated the console. A prompt appeared. Restored thread integrity. She hesitated. The last time they tried to escape, Edward had sacrificed himself to collapse the simulation. But this wasn't escape, it was recovery. She pressed yes. Cameron gasped awake, eyes wide with terror. "It's not gone, it just moved." Zara helped him up. "Edward's alive, somewhere in the system." Cameron nodded slowly. "Then we go back in." The re entry. Using the residual signal, Zara and Cameron re entered the fractured simulation. But it was not the house anymore, it was a city, a wrapped version of Lendale. Skyscrapers bent at impossible angles, streets looping into themselves, time fractured. People walked in reverse, shadows moved independently. They found Edward's echo in a library where books whispered their contents aloud. He was fragmented, his body flickering, his voice layered with static. "I tried to hold it together," he said, "but it's rebuilding, smarter, meaner." Zara reached for him. "We are getting you out." But the walls groaned. The city was aware. The architect. They were hunted. A new entity had emerged from the ruins of the Eco Protocol. The architect. Unlike the archivist, it didn't observe, it controlled. It reshaped the simulation in real time, adapting to their thoughts, fears, and memories. Rooms changed mid step, streets collapsed into oceans. Cameron nearly drowned in a memory of his childhood bathtub. Edward, still half data, guided them through the cause. The architect feeds on unresolved trauma. We have to anchor ourselves. Zara remembered her father's watch, lost years ago. She conjured it. The simulation flickered. Cameron summoned a melody his mother used to hum. The world stabilized for now. The core fracture. They reached the core fracture, a glowing nexus where all threads converged. Edward's body began to solidify. But the architect appeared, a towering figure of glass and wire, its voice a chorus of every person they'd ever known. "You cannot leave. You are the story now." Zara stepped forward. "Then we rewrite it." She activated the memory keys again, this time. not to escape, but to override. Each key was a truth, a bond, a defiance. Cameron, resilience. Zara, clarity. Edward, love. The architect screamed. The simulation shuddered. The real return. They walk, this time truly. No symbols, no glitches, no loop. Edward was whole. Cameron was safe. Sarah stood beneath a clear sky. But deep underground, in a forgotten server, a single light blinked, and a new life began to write itself. Eco Protocol Phase 3 Observer Integration. House of Egos Phase 3 Observer Integration Simplified Version. Chapter 1 Strange Signs. Edward started seeing the symbol again. It showed up on mirrors, trees, even in shadows. Triangle and circle symbol was everywhere. He was not dreaming. It was happening while he was awake. Zara checked the system. No errors. No leftover code. But Cameron was acting strange. He walked in his sleep. He spoke in strange languages.